All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the FPL Cartel. I'm a little bit croaky this morning. I went to a football game last night where my team absolutely smashed Southampton 3-1, so hopefully I don't lose my voice during this one. And I'm, of course, joined by my good mate FPL Tom, who, if I'm right in thinking, in Champions League Fantasy in particular yesterday, had an absolute cracker as well.
Yeah, we went from 19k to 3k.
Wow.
So pretty good week. And Yamal, if he'd have done anything else, I think we probably would have been about like top 1k. I don't think that's gonna last though. Like I've got like to hide behind a massive sofa tonight with Kane being captain that a lot of people
Oh,
are
you don't
looking
have
at.
Kane,
So
yeah.
don't have Kane, so there is going to be a massive sofa needed to hide behind tonight. But pretty good start. Pretty happy with it, and yeah, I guess Champions League fantasy is going the way that Premier League is at the moment, with just defenders scoring ridiculously well. So yeah, lots to talk about, I guess.
And you hit 20k subs. Was it last week you hit it, or was it on the deadline stream at the weekend?
It was at the deadline stream at the weekend.
Huge.
Yeah,
Good for you,
yeah.
mate.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, how did your FPL game week go?
Another green. Obviously, we had the exact same teams, so we both got, I probably imagine, a very similar-ish green arrow. Yeah, I'm just glad I got the bench boost out of the way, to be honest. I think I would have been annoyed if I'd have taken it into this week, and then I would have seen Joachim Andersen pick up that injury, and then have to make some transfers around, trying to find another player to
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been an issue. Like, we probably would have just gone for like somebody like Richards or Keane or whatever. But it's just, again, one of those transfers that I think we now don't have to make. We can kind of just give Anderson the time to recover and hope that it's not like, a long-term injury. Because from reports, it seems quite mixed at the moment. Like, some are saying he might be back within 1 to 2. Some are saying like more 6 to 8. It's 6 to 8, we can deal with it, but obviously we don't have that headache this week because we've already got the bench boost out of the way. He can just sit third sub, and we're pretty chill about it. So yeah, I imagine you're probably in a similar boat where you're just happy the bench boost has gone, and at least we got like a decent-ish score from it. It wasn't blanks everywhere. We got the Dubravka 9-pointer, which really helped out the bench boost.
Yeah, I've got to say, after seeing Caicedo was on the bench when I was in the gym, I was less than pleased with my decisions to bench boost. And to be honest, I think Chelsea only started really getting on top of that game when he came on. So I think that was just reassurance of how important he is to that team, really. But yeah, I mean, what did we get in total? 14 points. I'll take it. And like you said, I think it's 14 points plus the Anderson injury is justification to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Did you see? I think he got a price rise this morning.
Who's
Caicedo
that?
got a price rise.
Did he?
Caicedo.
Okay. Show me the money, mate. Show me the money.
Oh dear.
I just thought it would be worth mentioning. This will hopefully, for our sake, be the final one of these that is publicly available of these FPL Cartel streams. But the whole idea of going live these past couple of weeks was to give you a flavour of what the FPL Cartel is going to bring to you. So myself and Tom will do an exclusive weekly podcast together. We'll get a private Discord going. In fact, it's all set up and ready to go. We're just waiting for the payment things to all be set up, and we're going to start our own members only mini league with some prizes, and we'll get some merchandise going that you can serve to win at the end of the season or every month. But yeah, this is eventually going to be paid content, but hopefully with all of those things and our sort of pre-deadline advice on a private Discord. If you think, for example, I don't know, you put a super chat to one of us on YouTube, it's kind of the same as that, but you only pay it once a month and then you get access to us throughout the month, basically. So this is the FPR Cartel, and obviously the weekly podcast that you'll back.
Hello. I don't know what happened there. All my internet, I think, just cut out. Like my laptop stopped working, and then you just froze. So sorry if I cut out there, mate.
If you do want to put a super chat into the chat, though, to pay for Tom to have a new broadband provider, then that could be arranged. I don't know what you would have caught and missed there, mate, but I just did the spiel on the FPR Cartel. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that before we get into things?
No, I think what we're providing here is, well, hopefully when it gets all set up, is a really good service. To be honest, we obviously want to build quite a a tight knit community within there as well. I think it would have been great if it was set up last night for the Champions League games. because there was just goals, red cards, absolutely everything flying around last night. So yeah, I feel like the chat features are probably going to be something as well. It's just good for me and you to engage with the audience. Like we can do it a bit on the chats on YouTube streams, but I do feel in the Discord it's going to be a little bit more personal, and we can just create a better bond with people as well. So yeah, another added feature if you like.
Absolutely, mate. Right, let's get into what we were going to discuss today. Tom, you sent me over some stats from Fantasy Football Scout. We've got first up some defensive contributions per start for defenders. I think everyone is sort of bought into the ideas now of defensive contribution points and how they apply to the game, and how they make certain options more pickable than others. Have you got anything in particular you wanted to pull out from this data?
I just think obviously Bournemouth have got some more difficult fixtures on paper. I know they've got two red fixtures on the FDR, City and Villa, and I think people may be potentially considering like benching or selling Senesi, but I would just look at those defensive contribution numbers per start and go, yeah, I think you just continue to play him, to be honest. I think as well Bournemouth aren't a bad defence, so I think the only real red fixture there is going to be that City one. I think the Villa one's probably more like a grey rather than a red right now. So I think that's fine. I think if Liverpool get their kind of, proverbial shit together, Van Dijk could be a very good option at 6 with those numbers that he's putting up there. Tarkowski with 11.5 as well. Interestingly, Michael Keane's at 9.5. So for 1 million less, there doesn't seem to be kind of, too much of a discrepancy. I don't know if you've looked at Michael Keane at all as a potential Tarkowski replacement.
I just can't. I have. The Defcons aren't bad, are they? And I'd imagine, well, he definitely has more goal threat than Tarkowski, so that kind of probably makes up the difference, doesn't it? And I think we'll get onto it, but I think Everton are a pretty dangerous team from set pieces as well. It's just, I'm left wondering, do I want to keep, just in general, Tarkowski in my team at 5.5 million? I think maybe there's an opportunity you can even drop into Chris Richards, couldn't you? And then that's very similar DEFCON numbers. You could argue, do you think Palace are a better defence than Everton? I think you could probably make that argument, and he's a whole million less. That's the move that I'm lining up. But obviously, we've got Joachim Andersen with his hamstring injury. That's the thought of having Richards and Andersen is perfect, but whether you can actually still own Andersen beyond this week, I guess we'll see from the press conferences.
Yeah. I think if it's not a long-term injury, he's definitely going to just be a player I'm just going to keep because, like you said, the DEFCON numbers 10.6, very, very good. And I think Fulham's XG conceded hasn't been like awful, but they've only managed to keep one clean sheet. And it was very similar situation last year where they kept maybe a handful of clean sheets, but if you looked at XG conceded, they were like all right, like they weren't amazing, but they weren't like for the position they were in and the amount of clean sheets they were getting, it didn't really match up. So I don't know if they're just like there's something in their defense that doesn't allow them to keep cleans clearly, but hopefully that's kind of just sorts itself out and they do pick up a few more cleans. I think as well, Lacroix being bottom of that list and Chris Richards being one whole defensive contribution per start ahead of him, I think it does just make Chris Richards just an unbelievable pick at 4.5 million. I think there's a few other names floating around in there as well that I probably maybe wouldn't look at. Mavropanos was benched. Agbadu, Wolves just seem absolutely terrible at the moment. And I think unless you've already got a Stev, I don't think he would be a transfer in, right?
No, I mean, well, based on recent performances, Mukiele, I think, is the outstanding 4 million defender right now. Or I don't think Alderete is obviously not on this list, but I can't imagine he's too far away from here either. But yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be trying not to use a transfer on a 4 million defender. I've got Rodon at the moment. I'm going to keep the faith.
Yeah. Same.
Big ups, Joe Rodon. Right, what do we have next? Oh, and then this was something you were interested in looking at as well, was bonus. I don't know, I can't tell you exactly what BBPS means, but it's essentially how much bonus points, score they accumulate every start, I would assume. Is it bonus points per start? Is that what it sounds for?
It's basically their baseline bonus. So this is before they get any sort of attacking return. This is kind of, where you want to be looking for those players that usually when they do get the attacking returns, just absolutely clean up.
Okay.
So a lot of them, as you can see, are just kind of DMs because they are just involved a lot in the game, and they usually don't score. It's very unlikely that a lot of these guys score. I know Caicedo's been, bagging 30-yard screamers for fun, but it also explains and gives a little bit of context on why he's doing well on the bonus when he does score, because his baseline is absolutely ridiculous. But the standout picks for me in here that have really caught my eye have been Granit Xhaka, Grealish, and Bruno Fernandes sat in second. There's people were questioning on Sunday night how Bruno, in a game where he only got an assist, came away with 2 bonus points. This is exactly the reason why. One of the reasons. Exactly, and we've seen it for years with Bruno Fernandes, where he just hovers around the baseline because he's such an active player, involved in absolutely everything that goes through that side. Usually when he gets that one attacking return, I guarantee he's probably going to come away with at least 1 bonus point, because that baseline BPS is just so good. And again, I think this is another kind of string to his bow, if you like. I think one of the big things I've been trying to focus on this year is finding players who have these multiple avenues to different streams of points. And I think Bruno has all of them within his locker.
He's got every single box. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Penalties, defcon, bonus, open play threat, and some set piece share with corners and free kicks. For 9 million, I know a lot, 8.9 now, people are still questioning the price. But I do just think, put into context, he scores those 2 penalties, hits that 1 extra defcon in those games. He probably, as well, because of his baseline BPS, comes away with 2 to 3 bonus in those games as well. You're looking at a guy who's the second best scoring midfielder in the game, and I think we're all going to have a very different conversation around him. So I do think that he is a very easy hold for me, and I'm glad that I didn't take him out last week for Saka. I really, really do. I don't know what you think on Bruno, whether or not you're going to keep him, but yeah, I'm pushing the Bruno propaganda today.
No, and I think it's absolutely right. I wonder how often we're going to be inclined to agree on our FPL opinions, given our teams at the moment on this podcast. But I completely agree with you, mate. And I don't think I was close, but I was always of the mind that I could have swapped him for Saka last week. I don't think I ever would have done it. But I mean, yeah, I can't add anything to what you said, really. I mean, every single box you want in an FPL asset, he ticks. And he's also just a minutes monster as well. You pick Bruno Fernandes in your team, and unless he gets injured, he's going to play every game. And he's going to play every game for 90 minutes. So that also probably helps. Well, that's another reason why he gets the defcons, because he's on the pitch for every minute, and also probably helps with this as well. I mean, a lot of these players, they're team's sort of defensive midfielders or players that will be on the pitch for 90 minutes, so they can rack up as many of these baseline bonuses as possible, really.
Yeah, I think Grealish's as well is really interesting, because that kind of gives you I would say, an understanding of why he's been probably quite good at point scoring this season, because obviously he must be doing really well on the baseline BPS, and when he gets that 1 assist, probably coming away with 2 to 3 bonus as well. So maybe one to monitor going forward, but I do still think I prefer Ndiaye for 0.4 million cheaper. You get, again, those multiple avenues to points that I've just spoke about with penalty share. He can hit defcon and has been doing it fairly frequently to suggest it's going to be something that continues. And if Beto could actually finish his chances, Ndiaye would have 2 extra assists this season. So, yeah.
Oh, mate, I saw the highlights. That was so frustrating. Sorry, I was talking over you. Carry on.
No, man, it's good. I was in the exact same position. I think I tweeted something out like, "Oh, he's a war criminal" or something, because I was just fuming with him.
And Jai I think he's looked so good for Everton. Just speaking about him, I mean, he gets, obviously, Grealish. Well, he didn't play Grealish at the weekend because it was Man City, but Jai obviously gets less off the ball than Grealish does. But I just find whenever he gets an opportunity on the ball for Everton, he does something effective with it. Whether that's like beat a man, take a shot, put in a good cross, play a good pass. He's just Ndiaye is just so good. I mean, yeah, I completely get your point on Grealish, but I think, much like you said, I'd rather have Ndiaye. Ndiaye is almost, a mini Bruno Fernandes, isn't he, in terms of multiple routes to points for, well, what would he be now? 2.4 million less? So yeah, big up Iliman Ndiaye, even though I don't think he's going to appear in any of the data or stats that we're looking at today.
No, he's definitely one going on the radar, but just ticking along very, very nicely.
Next one we got, I saw a tweet from FPL Focal. So this is taken from his tweet, again from Fantasy Football Scout. And it was just a ranking of midfielders for non-penalty expected goal involvement. And I thought it was interesting to see some of the names that were on this list. The two that sort of stood out to me were Ismail Assar and Enzo Fernandez. Because obviously Ismail Assar has been injured for part of this season, and he's still the third best midfielder in the game for non-penalty XGI. And Enzo Fernandez, I don't know about you, but I was interested in him because of the set pieces he will inherit from Palmer while Palmer is injured, and maybe get some defensive contribution points, etc. But he is actually the fourth best midfielder in the game for non-penalty XGI, which is pretty impressive. Have you got any interest in? Well, presuming he's fit, of course. Any interest in Enzo Fernandez?
Yes, there is a lot of interest in Enzo. I think when we get to obviously our team selections, he is a player that I have considered because the Chelsea fixtures are just ridiculously good for the next few weeks. Like you said, no Palmer, so could be the penalty taker. Again, just feels like one of those players again that's just got multiple avenues. I'm probably going to repeat myself a lot, but that is what I would be looking for in FPL right now. He takes corners. And as we'll probably see in a graphic a little bit later, Chelsea are actually doing really well for XG set piece. He's got that open play threat, as you can see here, with the non-penalty expected goals. And obviously, if he's got penalties, all of that together just makes him a really tidy and smart asset. So I can see why there's a lot of hype building around him. And I guess it's kind of scout watch, really, isn't it, for it?
Absolutely.
The big thing, though, is going to be that Delap injury. I don't know if you saw Maresca's comments around Delap, saying he's apparently close to being back.
Okay, that is interesting. That'll push him deeper, I guess, wouldn't it?
It would, or does he drop João Pedro? Because João Pedro has
possible.
he's been rubbish. Like I don't think there's any way of getting around it. He has just been terrible. So maybe João Pedro goes and they put Enzo at the 10. I think they'll probably maybe push Enzo back, and I don't think even if Delap's close, apparently he's still not within training. I still think he's a good 4 or 5 weeks away. So I think we can still suck up the best fixtures out of Enzo before that happens.
Okay. Are there any other names that stand out to you? I was just looking, our two boys, they're not quite top, but Njai and Bruno Fernandes are up there. 2 penalty takers, of course, so that's another string to their bow. But they're obviously amongst the top midfielders for non-pen XGI as well. Another string to... We mentioned Bruno Fernandes, right? You said open play threat. This is it. And one of the things that's probably making him lead the expected goals data is he's had 3 penalties this season. So they're worth, 0.79, something like that, XG, I think. Something around that line. Yeah. But he's still amassed nearly 3 without penalties. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it goes against, that argument that people always put up, like, oh, Bruno's only going to get chances from penalties, or he's only getting points from penalties. Well, this suggests here that it isn't. He's got the non-penalty expected goal involvement, as you can see here. A lot of that is probably coming from, I imagine, assists. But still, it's open play threat, and even his assists with that baseline BPS can be extremely deadly, as we saw at the weekend. So yeah. And Dye as well, like you mentioned on there, again, one of the big factors was penalties, but again, just ticking along nicely with open play threat as well. One of the names that really caught my eye, and if you can't quite get the money to Bruno, was Brian Mbeumo. Really, really looking good. Obviously scored at the weekend as well. United have this great long fixture run. He could be another one that you maybe look for if you can't get to Bruno or don't quite buy into the Bruno propaganda. He could be another option that I think people could definitely have a look at.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed him, actually. And by the looks of it, I think the minus numbers suggest that a player has underperformed their data as well. So he's actually amassed 5.26 non-penalty XGI if you were to add the two together. So I'm surprised to see Mbeumo underperforming his data, to be honest. So I don't think that will continue with how good of a player he is, to be honest.
Well, if you look at it, all the United players on this list are underperforming.
They are.
And Mbeumo, Bruno, Diallo, they definitely should have scored more goals with the look at the start of this season. So, yeah, good fixtures coming up. Maybe they're going to kind of regress back to where they should be. Just saying.
And I've just spotted Saka on the list as well. Quite surprised to see he's massively underperformed as well. Obviously, Gyökeres has scored a brace last night versus Atletico Madrid. We'll get onto your team in a second. I think you may have made an early move. I've held on. There was no real expectation from Gyökeres tonight. But what do you reckon on those Arsenal players? Do you still think Saka is better than Gyökeres as an option? Are you pretty solid on that?
I am pretty solid on that. There's a reason I made the early move. I just think watching Gyökeres, he doesn't he's getting in the right positions, but it's just like, oh, you're just not quite there. You're not quite ready. Maybe tonight he's going to completely change that and his confidence is going to be back and he's going to be smashing goals in at the weekend. I'm ready for that. But I still think longer term, Saka is going to be the guy. I think Havertz starting to get himself back into training. He'll start to take some minutes off Gyökeres. We'll start to see more early substitutions. And if Saka is the penalty taker, then again, I think it's just all back to this point of players with multiple strings and multiple avenues to points, which Saka has. I don't expect him to hit DEFCON every week. I think that was just a fluke one-off. But again, he managed to hit bonus and did not really, from an FPL perspective, did nothing. You factor in, he probably picks up some of those attacking returns. Again, could be. I'm looking to see what the baseline BPS is going to look like after a few weeks of him playing games. He might be a player that does really stand out on that again. And as well, on set pieces and some of the deliveries against Fulham were just really, really, really good. And as we'll see in probably a bit, the Arsenal expected goals conceded from set plays are ridiculous. Yeah. And they scored one. They scored one last night, I think, right, as well.
Declan the Gabriel goal, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where they're going to get a lot of points from. So why would you not have one of their set-piece takers?
Speaking of set-piece takers, I think it's the perfect time to have a look at that. So this is the top 5 teams, basically, for expected goals from set play. Crystal Palace at number 1, interestingly. One player in particular, Mark Gahey, has just been absolutely racking up the attacking returns this season. Whether or not that will continue, I don't know, but he has been a bit of a beast for those. Obviously, Arsenal in second. Then we got Chelsea there. I don't know. I didn't have Chelsea down as a massive, just in my head, a massive set-piece threat team, but obviously they are. Man United, big Harry Maguire's up there, obviously. And then you've got Everton as well. So, yeah, your top 5 teams for goals from set plays are, these 5. And I think the Premier League there's been a lot of talk about it with pundits and stuff, that it's gone through a period of transition this season where there are a lot more goals from set pieces this season.
Yeah, there's been the goal share has gone up for set pieces. It's currently at 28% of all goals so far this season have been scored from set plays. I think last season it was at 21. So it's a big, big increase already we're seeing. And obviously we're in early parts of the season. And I think more and more sides are probably going to invest into set pieces a lot more as well, if they're seeing how prolific it's being for sides like Palace, for Arsenal. I think Chelsea obviously being up there as well. They hired one of Brentford's set piece coaches. So that all of a sudden starts to make a lot of sense when you see Chelsea right up there. That, they've gone and hired one of these guys. Interestingly, with Palace, they were up there as well for XG set play last season. So this seems to be something that is a common theme under Glasner. Yeah. So it's not like a one-off kind of, they've scored a few fluky headers from corners or whatever. It's something that Glasner obviously has within his kind of wheelhouse. So like you said, Gahey just seems to be a massive threat from like kind of the flick-ons and just kind of scooping up points there. I still think Richards, for the save him just for DEFCON, is probably going to outscore him this season. And I think with Gahey, obviously, around the transfer situation with him, might all of a sudden just get dropped if it gets a little bit toxic around January. Because I think he was very kind of polite around the summer around it. He was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just sit and wait." I think this time he's going, "I'm not doing that again. I want my move." And I think Liverpool, the situation they're in, they're like, "We need a centre back. Let's just go and get Gahey." So that would be my concern if you were to go for him. Arsenal, I think someone put in the chat, is Gabriel now essential? I mean, when you see numbers like this and the fact that they are one of the best sides for expected goals conceded, and you see they only conceded 0.67 against Atletico Madrid last night, like all of this compiled together, you're just going, probably is one of those picks a lot of people are just going to have this season. What's your thoughts on Gabriel?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've seen, you look at the Premier League clean sheet odds from all of our favourite sources, Arsenal are top. Look at the Champions League clean sheet odds from all of our favourite sources, Arsenal are top. So that means they are literally the best defence in the world if they're playing top of the Champions League odds and the Premier League odds. And Gabriel, he's such a threat from set pieces, and I'll use your term, multiple routes to points as well. He got DEFCON at the weekend. I don't know if he got bonus, but he's been hitting DEFCON. He can obviously get goals from set pieces, but also just the really dangerous flick-ons means he's going to get assists as well, like he showed at the weekend. So I do think he is pretty much essential. You can have Timber. Yes, you can save the cash and go for Timber if you want to, but I just think a player with the roots to points that Gabriel has, I mean, I don't even know what I think his maximum price I would pay for him would be. I think I'd definitely pay even 7 million for him, to be honest, at the moment.
Yeah, he's starting to kind of work his way up to that valuation. He got another price rise this week already. I'm honestly just so glad I went for the double Arsenal defence. It's just absolutely broken. The fact that they're just hardly giving away any chances is so resolute. And even like you said, across all the data sources we look at for Champions League and Premier League, to see them big standouts at the top of it, you just go, yeah, got to invest in that. Here's one for you. If Saka and Gyökeres don't obviously continue to pick up like amazing points, is there a world in where we look at triple Arsenal defence?
That does feel like FPL terrorism, but at the same time, absolutely, yes, I think there is, yeah.
Yeah. You just think maybe you pick up like a Timber or a Calafiori and you just go, right, you guys can do the business.
Well, it's just the fact that their minutes are so, you have to pick the ones with secure minutes, and you've got to think that it's probably Saliba and Timber outside of Gabriel that are going to play the most minutes. You've obviously got Lewis Skelly, who I think is probably the most capable fill-in for Calafiori. I guess Ben White's like completely out of contention at the moment, really, isn't he? But yeah, I don't see why not. And they are proving, like, I don't know, even if they were to play a Liverpool or a Man City at the moment, you wouldn't rule out a clean sheet for them in those kind of games, would you either? They're I wouldn't say defensive first, but they're so good defensively that they could genuinely pretty much shut out any team in the world, I think.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that this week the betting odds have given them a 44% chance of a clean sheet. And this is against Palace, by the way, who are in really good form and one of the best sides for goals created. Like, they're absolutely milking XG created, and they've still gone, nope. There's a higher probability of Arsenal keeping a clean sheet.
And yeah, I think, that everyone, you look at Mateta after last week, we'll talk about our team because I'm considering Mateta. He scored a hat-trick last week. He's in really good form. He's put up over 1 expected goal involvement per 90 this season. He's probably the Crystal Palace penalty taker. All the signs are there to buy Mateta, but because he plays Arsenal, no one's really, I don't think, going to buy him. And I think that says all you need to know. Probably the most dangerous striker outside of Haaland in the league, and no one's considering him this week because he's about to play Arsenal.
100% agree.
I thought I'll just flip back to our opening screen because I wanted to take a look at the chat, if that's okay, mate. See if anyone's got any questions for us before we move on. Rasmus saying he got 103 points in UCL Fantasy with Mbappe, Kane, and Pedro Neto still to play. So that's interesting. We've got a username Donabate Airport. So whether that's an actual airport that's in the chat, that's interesting. We've got Mills in the chat. Ayush Edit, should I activate my wild card this weekend? I don't know. I always struggle when I get a question like that because it's entirely team dependent. I can't answer that question without information. Cortex, the best Toms I know. I love that, mate. Thank you very much. I'll leave it up to you who is the better Tom. He came away. He said that Bruno came away with 3 bonus points. He did. Always a good question. Is Semenyo captain an option for this game week? What do you reckon?
I think with them getting Dyche in, no. Yeah. I fully know what's going to come this weekend. It's going to be a 1-0 Nottingham Forest win from like a Chris Wood goal or something ridiculous. Like, it's just going to be that sort of football. Yeah, I really don't think it's going to be the case. I think Haaland just again scored last night. From the sounds of it, I haven't watched the highlights yet. Could have probably got 2 or 3 again last night. You just think at the moment he's just unstoppable and just the easy captaincy pick. I don't think overthink it. Just give him the armband and he'll do the rest for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's after Vardy's record, isn't he? Is that 11 consecutive in all competitions, like 11 consecutive games or something he scored in now?
Yeah, I think it's just Prem. I think it's just Prem games. So.
Is it? Oh, okay.
So he's on it's going to be 9 this week.
9 this weekend. It's crazy form, isn't it? You can't. I agree. I don't think you can look away from that. Just on because that's a good name drop of Sean Dyche. Actually, I think the bringing in of Sean Dyche for Forest makes all of the FPL contenders for Forest pickable again now, in my opinion. I think we give them a couple of weeks, but all of the players that we know and love that we had in our teams at the start of the season, I think they become options again under Sean Dyche. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let me just go and have a look when their fixtures turn so we can really have a good look at it. Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be one that people are going to be monitoring. Yeah, it's probably once you get, I reckon, the Liverpool game out the way in, what's that, 12?
Okay.
So if you're on like a game week 13 wildcard, then they have Brighton, Wolves, Everton, Tottenham, Fulham as a run. There's definitely a few clean sheets in there. And if you've got guys that are just DEFCON beasts, then yeah, maybe we're all back on Murillo, Milenkovic, these picks.
Chris Wood scored about 30 goals for Sean Dyche, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah. It's just all your favourite popular Forest assets that you had at the start of the season. They'll just come back into fashion.
Excellent. I'm glad we agree on that. What have we got here? Soros saying he went Rangers to Ndai. I like that move a lot. Apparently, according to Cortex, Liam Delap is back on the grass. So, is that the news you saw as well? I don't know.
Yeah, it was something from like Fabrizio Romano tweeted something about Delap being back.
Our good mate Ben Alden saying he went against the cartel advice. He went for upside Raya for Verbruggen. Oh, he's gone for Verbruggen instead of Raya because of the rotation with Dubravka. I remember we were talking to Ben yesterday, weren't we, about who was going to pick in goal, and he said he didn't fancy David Raya. Fair enough. He's done Foden to Saka, Tarkowski to Goodmanson with the idea of doing Reinders to Sarr next week. I do think that's another player that we haven't covered yet. What do you have? Well, we've got identical teams, so I know the answer to this. But do you have Reinders in your team? And what, if not already, what have you done with him?
I have sold him already.
Right.
He was part of the early move. And interestingly, he didn't play last night.
Yeah, I did see that.
Start of the game. So I don't know whether or not he's lost his place and is now part of this mass pep rotation pool. And I just think, for me, I'm not going to bother with it. You got to think there's only been 2 games where he's got attacking returns out of. We're, 8 game weeks in?
Yeah.
And I think when you've got players that just slightly elevated, like your SARS, your Ndais, that you can go and get for a little bit more money, I think they're better value. And then if you come all the way down from him, you've got people like Xhaka who are just picking up defensive contributions every week that are just going to, by the end of the season, probably outscore him. And I don't have to worry about Xhaka starting because he's one of Sunderland's best players. And I think now with this rotation kicking in, I'm going, even though you're cheap, I can't, even the good games where I'd want to play you, I can't guarantee you're going to play. I think you're now starting to get rotated around. So, I think he's probably a player that we're going to see like a mass exodus of in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with you. What else have we got? Ben is also asking, would you captain Saka or João Pedro? He's saying that we're looking at the betting markets, the goal and assist odds for both are higher than Erling Haaland at the moment.
Won't go for it. I really don't think there's any upside in it. I think Saka's maybe like 15% owned at the moment. Let me have a look.
He's still relatively low, isn't he? Yeah.
He's still relatively low, so you're still going to get very good, kind of effective ownership out of Saka already, in my opinion. What is he? 14.3%.
Yeah.
So you're going to get very good value out of Saka. I think him just being in the side is enough to boost him up. And I just think Haaland is going to be the most captain player again. And probably very comfortably going to be sitting like 100 and probably 50 to close to 200 effective ownership again this week. So I just don't think it's worth betting against him.
Absolutely.
Especially this early season. And I think Saka's never been a player to like get like the big hauls. Even like last season and previous seasons, he's always like 1 goal, 1 assist. Like it's like a 10-pointer. Whereas, I think Haaland, we've already seen it this season. He's got the big mega hauls that you want from a captain in you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, mate. I don't think I'd do it. Also, I always feel the downside of that move not paying off for you is so much greater than the upside of it actually paying off. Because if you don't have Haaland as your captain and he scores, he's very capable of 2 or 3 goals. The rank pain you will have as a result of that is just huge. I wouldn't touch it. I think there are The only weeks where you could probably differentiate for him now are when some of those other players play a promoted team and Haaland has got like Arsenal. That's about it really. And or he drops off completely in form, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, to be honest. What else have we got? If you could pick one more, we'll do one more question and go back to our data. Ayush Edit is asking, name 3 centre-backs that you would pick on a wild card.
Gabriel, Senesi, and probably Chris Richards would be the 3 that I'd pick. I'm guessing they're going to be a very similar 3 to what you would pick.
It's yeah, mate. This is like I was saying this to you yesterday. I wonder how it will come across if we continually agree on opinions and have the same team in FPL. But I promise you, this is my own opinion. Is I completely agree with those 3 players. And looking at the data we've just showed today, Crystal Palace top of XG threat from set pieces. He's hitting DEFCON, the DEFCON average every game. Chris Richards is the one. We've all seen how good Senesi has been for DEFCON. He's got a few attacking returns as well. And Bournemouth, I don't think the Crystal Palace game was the best display of their defence. I think they are a better defence than one that concedes 3 goals every week. And obviously Gabriel's pretty much essential. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, mate. I'm not just saying the players because you have. I think you're absolutely right.
I think you could throw in Mike. I'll go Michael Keane instead of Richards. There can be my differential.
Okay.
There you go.
What's my differential? Let's see if I've got one. I'd chuck Munoz in there as well, actually. I think Munoz could be pretty decent. And we're all saying Chris Richards, but I've ignored Gahey all season, but he's continually knocking up these bloody attacking returns, isn't he? So maybe it is sustainable after all with the threat that he poses.
Yeah. I think it's worth adding that these sort of like questions people will be able to ask us on the Discord. We've got like a set section just for Q&A questions on the podcast. So yeah, going forward, that's how this feature will work. We'll have plenty of questions to run through. So yeah, get yourself in when it's fully up and available.
And speaking of that, we've got a few more people in the stream, so it's probably worth just talking about the FPL Cartel once more. So this is probably going to be the last one that's freely publicly available, but the whole idea of the FPL Cartel is it's a paid members service where you get this exclusive weekly podcast exactly as we're doing now. We'll do this hopefully same time every week as the season goes on. As Tom alluded to there'll be a private Discord where everyone part of the cartel is in. Both of us will be in there. You can talk to us, well, as often as we can in the chat. Particularly, I think one of the useful things will be after our deadline streams and before the deadline, we should be on there for questions and stuff. And if you were to talk to, I'd suggest other YouTubers or even ourselves sometimes, you might have to put a super chat in their chat to get an answer to a question. So that's hopefully what the Discord will help with. And obviously our not a paid mini league, but our members only mini league with hopefully some good prizes as well.
Yeah, we think they're good prizes. Hopefully you guys agree.
We'll do the business on them. What have we got next? Oh yeah, this was it. It was Solio. So I've really enjoyed looking at Solio's data this season and found it really helpful for my FPL team. And what's quite nice is that basically my whole team appears in the top players for expected points for Solio data, which I haven't done it purely based on Solio data, but it's nice for me to see the two align. The only interesting thing that isn't in my team is Salah. He's still top over the next 5 game weeks in terms of Solio data. I think you were speaking on the last Cartel stream we did last week that you were interested in Salah, Tom. Has that changed?
That has changed massively. I was obviously looking at the data in Solio. I was looking at the data across obviously like 11FI and all the projected data for Liverpool over the next few weeks. But I found it really interesting that Liverpool needed a goal in that game and they took off Salah. That for me was just like, I don't think he's like the guy anymore, is he?
That's a damning indictment of him, isn't it? Yeah.
The fact that you're their kind of, best paid player, their star man, and you've just been taken off when the team needs a goal, and probably, I would say maybe outside of like the Merseyside derby, the biggest rivalry game that you're going to get this season, and you've taken him off when you need a goal. That for me was like, yeah, he's not a buy at all. He's not justifying the price, and maybe we're going to see some rotation this year in the Premier League with him. I don't know. That's something that we maybe could.
It's not off the cards, is it?
when you're getting subbed for, no offense, Frimpong, who is an attacking fullback, but when your team needs a goal and that's the sub you're making, I just think you are nowhere near worth 14.4 million this year. So I think we'll start to see him drop down on a lot of these projections from Solio, Hub, all the people that provide them. I think we're going to see Salah drop off a bit of a cliff, to be honest. Especially if those minutes as well get a bit dicey.
And I don't know about you, but I got a feeling Liverpool make a signing in January of an attacking asset, and I just feel like Semenyo's going to go there. I think Semenyo would really help Liverpool. I'm a Bristol City fan, and we've got a 20% sell-on clause as well, so I'm kind of interested in that happening in January. But at the same time, and he obviously goes to AFCON as well. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's interesting. I guess the Solio data is obviously based on his historic performances, right? Which you still have to somewhat put into consideration. But with just the form that Haaland's in at the moment, Man City looking good from a goal scoring perspective. He is the guy in FPL right now, isn't he? You don't need Salah, I don't think.
No, it's all about Haaland, and I think this was very similar with the data we got like last year from like Review and Hub and all those. They were still like backing Haaland, I remember, for long periods of time, and it was like he was only getting like one goal, or then would blank and then get a goal. Like I think it's going to be a very similar thing where we're probably still going to see Salah because of the historical data be towards the top of this list. But it doesn't mean that he's going to be like the immediate, yes, you need to go and buy him player. I think it's a lot of it will be based off historical data and probably Liverpool's historical data over the past few seasons as well. So I think that's maybe just a red herring to monitor. If you like, especially if you're going into these kind of models a little bit blind, you might just think, oh, Salah top, great, it's time to go get him. Probably provide some recency bias into there and a little bit of context to these projections. I know in Solio you can adjust projections as well, so that might be worth doing if obviously you've got the paid Solio and stuff like that.
The only week in Solio where it really suggests Haaland might not be the best captain, because there are plenty of other players actually. Saka, Fernandes, even Semenyo is higher in terms of predicted points. Is Gameweek 12 when Haaland goes away to Newcastle. I think there's some logic in that. I personally think St James's Park as like an away ground is one of the toughest places to go. But I mean, if Haaland was playing Newcastle away next week, for example, would you still captain him ahead of Newcastle away? I think I probably would.
Yeah, I think I would. I don't think I'd mind it. I'd still, to be honest, just keep him captain. The form he's in, I really expect him to just score against absolutely everybody.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you, mate. What have we got? And yeah, finally, we spoke very briefly about him. Well, not very briefly. We covered him a couple of times. Michael Keane. If you're all wondering why we're talking about Michael Keane, there was an official tweet from Everton to suggest that Branthwaite has unfortunately had a complication with his recovery from his injury. Is he out for the rest of the year now? Like up until, is he back in January? I think is the latest estimate.
I think it's January. He's got to go for surgery as well, and you never really know how those surgeries go. Like they could say January, but this is the thing. Moyes has been saying that he's like close to fitness at the start of the season. Like, and now what we're going to go to game week 9, and now he's all of a sudden having surgery. So we might not ever see this guy. Well, not again, but for the rest of the season. For a long time,
yeah.
So that they might be saying, "Oh, January, New Year," but they've been saying he's been close since game week 1, and that's been absolute lies. So yeah, I think we're all aboard the Michael Keane bandwagon. To be honest, I'm there. It's
unbelievable,
for it, so.
It's unbelievable. I just can't, mate. He's done all right this season. To be fair, he's not been as bad as he has been in previous years. I just thought going into this season, it was one of the reasons I didn't pick Tarkowski at the start, because I knew he'd be partnered by Michael Keane, and I just thought he's such a liability. But he's been all right this season, to be fair, as Michael Keane to his credit. But yeah, that's the news that sparked the Michael Keane conversation today. We've got our teams next, mate. Our teams are pretty well. At least in game week 8, we're identical. We've got different thoughts around what we're doing for game week 9. Did you want to go through my team or your team first, mate? I'll leave it up to you.
Mate, let's go through your team first.
You want to go through mine? You want to go through mine?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 82 points last week with my bench boost. We talked about Caicedo and the pain that I felt when I saw he was benched for Chelsea. And basically, my bench boost has been single-handedly saved by Dubravka. And I think the fact that Anderson, we were saying it before, Anderson has picked up this injury. If I hadn't used my bench boost this week, I'd be in, I think, a bit of a world of trouble to try and set it up for next week. I'd be mucking about with transfers to try and, fix up a bench boost. And then I think about if I was in a position where I was using it in Game Week 9, with Crystal Palace playing Arsenal, my natural replacement for Anderson would have been Chris Richards, but then I can't even bring him in because he's playing Arsenal. So it would have been I'm pretty pleased I got it out of the way the more I think about it, to be honest. I think we've spoken about a fair few of the players that are in my team already. But I think similar to what we've been saying obviously they're my honest thoughts. So I think Reinders, I'm definitely looking at getting rid of him this week. And my plan was to do Reinders to Saka and Gyökeres to one of the minimum price forwards. Krupi Jr. was top of the list, but with just the way that price changes are going in FPL right now, I might just go for someone like Mark Gu, who's even cheaper because I'm just never going to use a player in that spot. But with the Anderson injury, I might be slightly tempted to get Krupi Jr. because he's actually going to start. Like, I have a good feeling that Krupi Jr. starts against Forest. And, I don't think Evan Nielsen has necessarily done that much this season either. So I think the spot it's open for the one of those two players that wants to take it, really. What do you make of Krupi Jr.? Is he a player that you've brought in or looking at bringing in?
I've brought him in.
Okay.
He is a player that I have brought in. And the reason that I brought him in, I think for 4.5, I'm not expecting the absolute world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever be in my squad, to be honest. Maybe this week. Maybe might start him this week ahead of Caicedo, if I keep Caicedo. But for me personally, for 4.5, to get a guy who can go and start games and can score in Premier League games feels like really good deal, to be honest. You get in there, and it's not only obviously scored against Leeds as well earlier in the season. And like you said, I don't think Evan Nielsen's pulled up any trees. He's not been amazing at the start of this year, and it's one of those where it's a calf injury, and you go, that could be a few weeks out. That could get worse. That could be Krupi Jr. starting a lot more Premier League games. Bournemouth paid actually quite a lot of money for him last January.
He put up some good numbers as well.
Exactly. So I do think that this guy is going to be running Evan Nielsen close for minutes when they're both back fit and available. And you think as well, if Evan Nielsen's out this week and he goes and gets another couple goals against Forest and maybe a goal in game week 10 against City, does Evan Nielsen go straight back into that side, or do they go, you know what, you've proved your point, you can have a few more starts? I just think for 4.5, he probably for me is the standout forward option right now. I think Mark Gui, if you're not going to use him, fine. 4.3, save yourself a little bit of money. But I think if you are maybe in the mind that you might have to use this guy once in a blue moon, I don't think after this week he's probably going to play. If the lap's close to being back,
yeah, that's fair.
João Pedro, I do just think he's probably maybe going to play this week, and then that'll be it. Maybe a few handful of bench appearances, but with that Delap news, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm glad I moved for Karupik.
Yeah, so it's fair enough. I guess because the reason I was looking at Mark Gu is obviously price changes have gone mental this week, and it's obviously all the players that we all want to bring into our teams that are going up in price, and the players we want to sell are naturally going down in price. The likes of Reinders and João Pedro, I think, are going to continue to drop. But rather than save money in that way, I think I've got Tarkowski sitting in my team here at 5.5 million. If I want to make those moves, I guess I can just downgrade Tarkowski, right? And I'm looking at, next week, my moves this week, I'm thinking of doing probably exactly what you did, to be fair. Reinders to Saka, Gyökeres to Krupi Jr. And then week after, I could make 3 more to bring in 3 Crystal Palace players. I could bring in Richards for Tarkowski, Mateta for João Pedro, and I'm considering Caicedo to Ismail Assar as well. I think I'll make those 3 moves next week. So, yeah. And dropping Tarkowski to Chris Richards, it doesn't feel too bad. And that's an easy way for me to save $1 million, basically.
Yeah, like you said, there was maybe 1 defensive contribution per 90 difference between the two of them for 4.5. Palace are better defence than Everton, in my opinion, as well. So, yeah, I like those moves you've suggested. I think they're very good.
And, the bench boost also, I don't know whether it was... I almost feel like I didn't deserve the rank gain that I got in Game Week 8 either. I don't know how you feel, but I halved my rank in that time, and I don't necessarily think my team was amazing, But I guess that shows maybe how many, because I feel like we have probably followed the pathway of the engaged FPL manager, and maybe we have moved aside some non-engaged managers that were inside that top million last week with the wild card that we played last week and the players that we've got in. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think we probably have just pushed them aside. A lot of them have still probably got Salah.
Yeah.
Like I think on live FPL he was like quite a big effective ownership
Really?
rank destroyer to me. So I'm a little bit further back than you. So maybe around that rank, some people have given up and they've gone, yeah, I'm done. What's obviously the Gokeres brace last night? Has that maybe made you rethink things with Gokeres? Like I've already got rid of him, but you've still got that position where you could maybe keep him. What's going through your mind right now?
It definitely has, but it's not just getting rid of Gyökeres that I want to do to bring Saka in. It's getting rid of Reinders as well. And I think I don't want Reinders in my team anymore. And I still don't think there's a massive difference between Gyökeres and Saka. But we went back to the routes to points that Saka has. And when Havertz comes back into the fray, I think Saka's minutes are going to be better than Gyökeres'. So I think long term, Saka is a better option. But I don't want Reinders in my team anymore as well. So I'd like to make the move just to get Reinders gone. And I think that's enough where I don't really care about the difference between Saka and Gyökeres anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it makes sense. I think as well, the position me and you are in where we've got 5 free transfers, we can afford to make these more luxurious moves. I think if you had 2 in hand, I'd maybe go, is that worth the 2? But with 5, I think you're fine, because if you don't make any more, you're back to 4 next week.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So you're in a very, very good position here.
Exactly. And I also think, alternatives to Reinders I don't know if this is fair to say actually, but I want to bring in Mateta into my team as well. And I just think a 3-5-2 team with triple Crystal Palace, Richards, Sarr and Mateta, the players that I've got in my team already. If I was on my wild card, I made a wild card draft video yesterday actually, but if I was on my wild card, that's the team I would pick right now. So in 3-4 moves, I could get to, again, my perfect wild card FPL team, and that's all I'm moving towards. I don't know about you, but I always try and keep that in mind when I play FPL as well. What is the perfect team to have, and how many moves am I away from that every week? And I think probably why I'm inside the top million at the moment is because my team has been very, very close to that all season long so far. That's obviously driven by a bit of luck as well, I would say, but that's kind of how I like to think about things.
No, yeah, I've kind of done a similar approach myself, where I've looked at
when the wild card windows
are. Yeah, it's very much where when you get to those wildcard windows, say for example in 8, in 12, we're in a position where, because we wildcarded a few weeks ago, we've backed these transfers, we can get to what someone's going to wildcard in 8 or get to what someone's going to wildcard in 12. So that's the plan. Very similar score to yourself, 82. Dubravka pretty much carried the bench boost, to be honest. And I do think if Anderson had played that full 90, we probably could have had an additional 3 points. I think he hit 4 DEFCON before he went off already. So he was definitely going to hit the 10. And yeah, that could have been an extra 3 points. But at the end of the day, another nice, I think I went up a mil in rank. I've only had 1 red arrow this season, by the way. And it was from game week 1 to game week 2. I went from 7 million in game week 1 to 7.6 in game week 2. And then I've just constantly been green since then. So slowly clawing our way back. Like I said, very similar thoughts to you. I'm just happy I got the bench boost out of the way. I think it just would have been a headache this week. And I don't have that now. And like I said, at least we did like something off the bench.
Yeah.
Like Dubravka alone was worth the bench boost alone, in my opinion. So I'm happy I've done it. And for anybody that is thinking about bench boosting this week, if you've got a full 15, I would just hit it. I honestly think, and I said this last week in our stream, review, Solio, all were saying there's maybe like a 1 to 2 point difference over the season for like hitting the bench boost now. Is that worth it? No. Like, is it worth it to play better fixtures? Not in my opinion. 1 to 2 points is absolutely nothing, and you can just get these weird scores. Like the week before on my bench, I had a Caicedo 10-pointer. This week we've had a Dubravka 9-pointer. Like, you are just, if you've got a full 15, there will be just someone that will probably carry the bench boost through anyway. So if you've got it left, get it active if you've got a full 15 ready to go. don't worry about the fixtures too much. In terms of the transfers I've already made, obviously brought in Saka, brought in Krupi Jr. There are 2 other moves that I'm potentially thinking about this week, and it is all dependent on Enzo. It would be dropping Tarkowski down to either Keane or Richards, and I could just play Rodon anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then I would take Caicedo out, and I go up to Enzo Fernandez.
Okay.
So yeah, what do you think of those moves?
I like him a lot. I was eyeing up Ismail Assar, but as you just said, Enzo Fernandez, they're very close in terms of non-penalty XGI, aren't they? But then Enzo obviously taking set pieces and penalties. Yeah, we'll see. And you could, of course, if you made that move, you could do it this week as well. You could definitely do Enzo Fernandez in for Caicedo this week, couldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. Like, I could get Richards or I could get Keane there and just put Rodon in because they've got quite a good fixture. Yeah. I think it's like a 37% chance of a clean sheet, so not too bad. And then going forward, I think the move would probably be then João Pedro out for Mateta in game week 10.
It's funny, we could have the same team again, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to have the same team again. Definitely going to have the same team again. But I think then longer term, it will just be, again, banking up to 12, 13 to match what wildcarders get for that. And then obviously using them before we get the AFCON restock. So, yeah.
That's another good point,
plan with the team.
We need to get rid of those transfers, don't we? You're absolutely right.
I honestly think the next few weeks we'll probably make a bank of transfers, bringing in Palace players, probably getting in like Enzo and stuff like that. Then we'll probably have a period where we just sit with that for a couple of weeks. Get to 12, 13 where there's big swings for a lot of teams. Make, again, our 5 free transfers. Then we'll probably just make probably transfers every single week up until the AFCON one. Because we'll be like, we need to keep this low. We can't be just banking transfers in. And then, I guess it depends like on chip strategy. If you thought when to play the free hit, when to play the triple captain. You could have done it. We mentioned it last week. You could have done it on Haaland against Everton. It turned out it was a good game week to do it.
I guess, the one thing I would say is this Haaland run of form is not going to last all season long. I don't think any player will score every week in the Premier League. Obviously, Haaland's not completely incapable of that. But I think I would like to. The one thing that's in my mind, I guess, is I would like to catch this current run that he's in. But is there a triple captain fixture in like the next 5 for Haaland? I'm just going to have a look. So we got Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool next 3. Not amazing, is it? Newcastle away, Leeds at home in 13, Sunderland at home in 15, West Ham at home in 17. So I guess it's one of those 3 really at the moment. 13, 17. Yeah. What are you thinking?
The ones in December worry me because you've got a midweek round before the Sunderland game.
And
then around the 20th, I think there's a what's it called? Champions League in that midweek as well. So that's where I'd be like, I don't expect him to be rotated, but I'd be like, maybe he only sees like 70 against West Ham. I think for me, Leeds in 13 is looking like the likely week where I'm going to play it. But as we've obviously alluded to, there is still that maybe Palace blank double situation that we'll find out. I think it's before game week 10, before the game week 10 deadline. So, you've got that. I think I've earmarked game week 13 as the week I might do it. And I think I've earmarked maybe game week 11 for a free hit. Liverpool playing City. Do I really want anyone? I think there's some nice fixtures as well in that week. Let's have a look. Who's got a good fixture in 11? So Arsenal have got Sunderland, but I've already got kind of triple Arsenal, so maybe not. Chelsea have got Wolves. If I've got Enzo, do I really need to do it? Maybe not. Forest have got Leeds. So there's some alright ones in there. 12 could be an okay week as well. Villa have got Leeds. Chelsea have got Burnley. Fulham have got Sunderland. United have got Everton. So maybe triple United. I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going to play that free hit. That's the one that's troubling me at the moment. I think if we get the double game week or the blank game week gets, a little bit more closer, I think that's where you leave it available. But right now, I'm really not sure where I'm going to play it.
Yeah, because if Palace have a double game week, that's Mateta written all over it, isn't it? For me, with the numbers he's put up so far. But then you've got the question: even if he has a double game week, what are his minutes going to be like? Because you've got someone like Nketiah as well, who could rightfully play some minutes and fill in for him. Whereas Haaland, he's going to start that Leeds away or Leeds at home fixture, probably going to play 90 minutes. Is that better than maybe Mateta 120, 150 in a double? I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about as well.
I think I'd still go Mateta.
Yeah, you've got to, haven't you? You've got to pick him for a double. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just mulling that over. Yeah, I looked at those fixtures, and I think that is the obvious time to play the triple captain. There seems no better time than that. Game week 13, Leeds at home. Anything else you want to say on your team?
No, not really. We're definitely probably going to end up with the same looking teams again. But I guess that's kind of the way. I think we messaged about it at the moment though. With defenders, you've got kind of maybe 5 to 7 to pick from. Everybody has. Like a lot of them just pick themselves because of DEFCON. Then you head into the midfield, and I actually think our teams are different from everybody else because everyone won't have Bruno and Saka.
Yeah.
If you go for Saka, I think that's going to be our different combination that could do us quite well. But I think again, when you look at the midfielders, who are we picking from? Well, we've got no Salah, Palmer's out injured. And then a lot of those like 7 to 7.5s just aren't doing the business. So you're looking at it going, well, we're all going to pick Semenyo. And Dye's got penalties. And if Enzo's got penalties and fully fit and available, you're just going to pick him. Like you're picking from like a very, very small pool at the moment. Same with like Mateta. Like because João Pedro's not firing, you're picking either Walter Marder or João Pedro.
Absolutely. And yeah.
That's it. Everyone's
and Wissa's going
to
be back soon for Newcastle as well, isn't he? So even Voltemader's not that exciting of an option. So yeah, we're not just coming to the same conclusion because we talk to each other and we're copying each other. I do not believe that. This is honestly, this is the team that we both have right now. I think bar 1 or 2 players, but even 4 next week with, I'll go back to your team because you've made the moves. You know, Palace have Arsenal, so that stops us picking up Palace assets. But once we get to game week 10, I think both of us, barring maybe one player, I'll probably, even then I might go Enzo Fernandez. It's either Sarr or Enzo Fernandez for that 5th midfield spot for me. That is the best team in the game, in my opinion. That is just the best team in the game.
Yeah. I literally think the combinations that are different from ours are, if somebody hasn't got Bruno, they've got Walter Marder or Mateta with João Pedro up front. If they haven't got Enzo, they've got Sarr.
Yeah.
And I think that's genuinely about the only difference you're going to see.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe Kudu sprinkled in there instead of Ndai, but that's about it.
Cool. I do have to go very shortly to log into my other laptop and do my other job now. But is there anything else you wanted to cover or say on the stream, mate? Sorry, I'm mucking about with my screens. There we go.
No, it's all good. Reckon just one final run through of what the cartel is and what we're offering.
Take it away, my friend.
Yeah. So obviously this is probably going to be the last free-to-air version of this podcast. It is going to go behind a kind of paywall. But with that paywall, like you said, you get this exclusive podcast with myself and Tom, which we think is already pretty good value. You also then get access to a private Discord that has lots of channels in there for different, obviously, games. It would have been really good for UCL last night with all the things that were popping off there and team news and stuff like that. One of the main advantages me and Tom think as well is the way that our structured kind of schedules work on a deadline is we go early with our streams. So we usually finish when all the big boys then go live. And if you want to ask one of them a question, you're probably going to pay maybe like between £5 and £10 in a super chat just for one question. They'll probably give you like maybe 20 seconds. With the price that we're offering here, you can pretty much get that same deal and ask me and Tom questions, but you can ask us unlimited amount of questions in the Discord. You get a weekly Q&A where we've got, obviously that then is read out on the podcast, and you get some member-only competitions as well. So all that for the price of one super chat, for me, just feels like exceptional value. And as well, you're getting 2 very respected and very good FPL managers. So I think you're getting a very, very good deal for what you got. Hopefully, once all the behind the scenes shenanigans is sorted, we should be good to go. But yeah, hopefully it's a very good thing, and we're going to be happy to announce it very soon. Any
Absolutely,
thoughts that I've missed out there, mate? Any
just
points I've missed?
Just again to continually reiterate how excited I am to work with you on this, mate. We've been doing FPL YouTube for pretty much as long as each other on a very similar journey of like working not against each other, but obviously having our separate channels. It's just really good to work with you on it, mate. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. I think just the podcast alone, we've got like a good connection, and it's something we wanted to do for a long time anyway. So I'm glad we're able to do it.
Happy days. Well, like I said, I do have to shoot off now. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for in the chat. Sorry I couldn't get across to every single question, but I think we covered most topics there. And on your way out, because this is still a publicly available stream, it'd be great if you could leave a like rating as well. And I'll make sure there's a new collaboration feature on YouTube. Me and Tom were talking about it before the stream. I'll make sure to tick that box. So it should, for a watch back, it should appear on both of our channels, which should be good. So if you're on the FPL Tom channel as well, you should be able to see this yourself too.
Sweet.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers up.